Additionally, I must tell you, collusion, wanton bribe-taking, let me repeat that, collusion, wanton bribe-taking, and general corruption continue to pervade operations of KRA, facilitating tax evasion, massive leakages of potential revenue, and inability to meet revenue targets. You know what I'm saying is true. You know what I'm saying is true. And I'm going to repeat it again. Collusion, wanton bribe-taking, and general corruption continues to pervade the operations of this organization.
So guys, this is President Ruto, and in this video, he's talking to the tax revenue collection, which is the KRA in Kenya. And he's basically telling them about the corruption and the aiding big companies to evade taxes. So he basically went in there putting them on notice. It's a new day, things are gonna change, and he's threatening them, but very diplomatically. He's not saying it out loud. He's just doing it very overtly and diplomatically, but he's putting them on notice, and this is getting the tax collection agency in Kenya, which is the KRA, on notice. And I love this video, so listen to it in its entirety, and then you get to understand what President Ruto of Kenya is proposing. This is what I like, as he's starting internally before he goes and attack other countries or tell other countries to follow what he's doing. So he's laying the groundwork to say, hey, you're on notice, stop what you're doing, it's a new day, new time, and we're gonna clean up this whole mess. And he's starting it from his own cabinet. And this is a brilliant move by President Ruto, which he's gonna be a president to be followed, and he's gonna be the next popularity as Mandela in that sense, because he's on that trajectory right now to become a great leader. So listen to this video and listen to what he's talking and what he's saying to his own Kenyans, and Kenyans taxes a must and stuff like that. So let's get into this video. Boom.
Hey, Madam Acting CG, senior staff members of KRA, staff members, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am here today to undertake a very important personal obligation, which I believe by virtue of the office I hold ought to be made visible to all Kenyans as a signal of my commitment to fulfill my duties as a citizen, as a leader, and as President of Kenya. Let me state for the record that I have always endeavored to be fully tax compliant and to remit my taxes due to government in full, and I try always in time. This exercise is not a mere dramatization or other empty public performance. It is something I believe in wholeheartedly, and it is something I cherish. It is my duty, and indeed the duty of every citizen of Kenya, to pay their share of taxes to enable the government provide essential public services and goods. This is the only way to lay the foundation for the pursuit and achievement of economic growth, sustainable development, and prosperity that we can all share. Our taxes build our roads and the entire national transport network, build and run our hospitals, our schools, courts of law, and provide defense and national security services. They also finance social safety nets for the vulnerable around our country. Kenyans cannot afford all these services on their own, and the very few who can afford some pay a very high price per unit. Public goods demonstrate the advantages of living in a community and paying taxes enables us to finance the provision of this service. And let me mention that the progress of society is not measured by the few who can afford. It is not measured by the wealth of the few. It is measured by the quality of public goods available to everybody. It is measured by the quality of the roads we can build, the quality of education that we have, the quality of hospitals that we have, the quality of water that we drink. That's how society is measured. And those goods are made available by the taxes we pay. This is why we are mobilizing as many Kenyans and businesses as are eligible to pay taxes, and at the same time empowering an even greater number to join the tax-paying bracket. The more the shoulders, the lighter the burden. We must therefore stand together in this endeavor and do our part to keep our country on the path to self-sufficiency and the path of greatness. Although taxes are mandatory and unavoidable, a government that seeks to mobilize tax revenues must inspire confidence that tax administration will be fair, effective, efficient, and that the allocation and expenditure of the finances will be undertaken transparently and accountably in pursuit of agreed public causes and public services and public goods. This means that the Revenue Administration Agency must be professional, efficient, fair, transparent, and most importantly, accountable. It also means that the government is expected to be honest and vigilant stewards of public resources. The Kenya Revenue Authority has come a long way. It has in commendable ways played its role of collecting revenue from far and wide, and thus enabled the government of Kenya to meet many of its national, including international, obligations. But as I mentioned during the annual Taxpayers Week, Kenya Revenue Authority has some way to go in becoming the fit-for-purpose National Revenue Administration Agency that Kenya needs at this point in our development journey. Although there is steady growth of revenue mobilized by the authority over the years, it remains far short of our potential. You heard me mention the other day that we are collecting around 15% of our revenue from taxes as a percentage of GDP. Countries who are peers to Kenya, I remember giving examples of, South Africa, Morocco, Tunisia. They collect between 22 and 25%, actually 28% of GDP. The management, board and management of KRA need to ask yourselves, how come we are collecting 15% of GDP while our peers are collecting 25% of GDP? That's the question that must exercise your minds, both in Treasury, at the board level, the senior management, and the staff of this great institution. At a time when the state of our national finances is not good, especially in the context of the radical measures that must be undertaken urgently to transform the country and the economy, KRA has remained lackluster in its performance. I say so because I am speaking to you now from your abode. Although tax revenue has grown steadily in recent years, the tax base remains far short of its full potential. The authority continues to maximize collection from existing taxpayers through processes and technologies that sometimes belong to the bygone era, including disruptive stoppages of revenue-generating operations, summary actions, time-consuming, laborious, and inefficient assessment methods, and a flagrant penchant for intimidation through arbitrary prosecution. KRA must acquire a new image. You must build a new image, an image that when people come to Times Tower, they don't come here trembling. They come here looking forward to being served. Additionally, I must tell you, collusion, wanton bribe-taking, let me repeat that, collusion, wanton bribe-taking, and general corruption continue to pervade operations of KRA, facilitating tax evasion, massive leakages of potential revenue, and inability to meet revenue targets. You know what I'm saying is true. You know what I'm saying is true. And I'm going to repeat it again. Collusion, wanton bribe-taking, and general corruption continues to pervade the operations of this organization. There are many people who are encouraged, who are facilitated by KRA staff not to pay tax. And you know what I'm saying is true. You know very well we would be collecting more money than we are doing, but because we have staff in KRA who do not work for the government of Kenya, they work for themselves. And they work for other entities. And their biggest assignment is to assist taxpayers, not to pay tax, but to assist taxpayers to evade paying tax. And there are many examples, good people. There are many examples. If we ask Kenyans to step forward and name the people who normally facilitate them not to pay tax, I don't know how many members of staff will remain in KRA. It has also been noted that KRA has not embraced a culture of supporting and facilitating taxpayers, alternative dispute resolution, and the deployment of efficient technologies to improve revenue performance. Let me say this again, and I'm saying it politely. You know that KRA is technology averse. In fact, it is public information that any attempt to digitize, to professionalize KRA has been met by a lot of resistance from staff in KRA. Because technology will make it easy for taxpayers to pay, and there wouldn't be opportunities for people to collude and evade tax. And I'm saying this looking at you guys in your eyes. You know that it has been difficult to roll out technology that it has been sabotaged by staff in KRA. And it hasn't been sabotaged for any good reason. It has been sabotaged because it seals loopholes of rent-seeking, evasion, collusion, corruption, and that kind of thing. In particular, the resistance to the introduction and upgrading of revenue administration technologies is an emphatic signal of the corporate culture of an organization that is not willing to do its job, which suggests that arbitrary, opaque, and fundamentally corruptible revenue collection methods are the preferred modus operandi. It is expected that high costs will be cited as the excuse, because I keep hearing, oh, we do not have enough money to do this, we do not have enough money to do that. But I remember having a meeting with the acting CG and staff members who came to see me, and I gave them a simple example. I asked them, the people who do betting, because those people who do betting, they pay staff at KRA. And you know they do. So that they don't have to pay all the taxes that are due to the government of Kenya. So I asked, why don't we digitize? Why don't we sit down with Safaricom and tell Safaricom, look, as these people bet, why do we have to wait up to 20th? Why don't we split? As somebody is betting, we know what tax is. Let us integrate the system between KRA, Safaricom, and the betting companies. When somebody places a bet, the money for betting goes this way, the taxes go the other way, and everybody is good. And we don't have to have a meeting on the 20th of every month. We can finish that business instantly. We did that. And the numbers that are being paid by our betting companies has changed. Why did I have to do that? I am not a member of KRA. Are you telling me that there aren't intelligent people in KRA who should have thought about that? Or they thought about it, but instead of collecting money for the government of Kenya, they decided to collect money for themselves. My friends, you know what I'm saying is true, don't you? And if you doubt, I can come and tell you who it is that has been paid this money. So, and I have come here to have a honest conversation with you. And I will not accept that you telling me that technology is difficult. How much money did we have to spend to get the betting companies to pay their full share of revenue that they are supposed to do? It costs us nothing. It is the commitment to do it that we need. And therefore, we all know what's going on, don't we? A culture of corruption, good people, collusion, inefficiency, and unprofessionalism is much more costly to the country than any efficient technology will ever be. And I'm telling you this with a lot of clarity. It is therefore imperative that the authority urgently undertakes serious and effective culture change throughout the organization and expeditiously adopts and implements the best technologies to facilitate efficient revenue mobilization. I had a long chat last week, not last week, this week, is it? Yeah, this week, with the management of KRA. And we went through the motions. We are having another meeting. When is it? The other week on Monday. Because I have to be honest with you, I have to be candid, because I have a job to do. And I need us to work in concert. I need us to work with synergy so that you can do your part in building our nation by doing what the government of Kenya has hired you to do. It therefore means KRA must stop the tiresome drama of pretending to be fighting with stakeholders over new technology and also you must avoid irritating Kenyans on doing things that are not useful. Kenyans expect us to be efficient, professional, effective. Kenyans expect us to expeditiously deliver on what we need to do. And let me say, that expectation is legitimate. Kenyans expect no less, they deserve no less, and they are entitled to no less. But the problem is not confined to KRA. The government in general must do much more to build public confidence that it can and will manage public resources honestly, efficiently, transparently, and accountably. The Constitution mandates it, the law requires it, and basic decency demands us to do it. The big question that many Kenyans ask me, and you know very well that I am a very big advocate of Kenya Revenue Authority. You know that. I have gone out of my way to work with you to sensitize, to mobilize Kenyans, to come forward, to explain why each and every one of us must pay tax. I am right at the forefront in sensitizing Kenyans, mobilizing Kenyans to pay tax. I am essentially your unpaid worker. I don't know whether Madam CG will consider a stipend for me for doing all what I'm doing. But the question many Kenyans ask me is, how are we sure that we will all pay? Because we must all be equal. Because the people who have connection, the people who have networks will escape paying. Then the small guys, the people who have no connection, will end up paying. Because there are people in KRA who facilitate others not to pay. The next question Kenyans ask me is, how sure are we that our taxes will not be stolen by public officials sitting in ministries, departments, agencies, offices? So, and I intend to answer those two questions in my term. I intend to answer those two questions. And as I have said, I will take personal responsibility over the safety and the proper use of the public resources of the people of Kenya. It's the only way they can continue to legitimately pay their taxes. I do not wish to dwell at length on this matter because historically, so much has been said, yet so little has been done in dealing with the challenge of corruption in government. I just want to make the following commitment firmly and clearly. My office shall be responsible for ensuring effectiveness, efficiency, transparency, and accountability in the use of public resources. I shall therefore be personally involved in ensuring that Kenyans get their taxes worth of public services in full, and that none, regardless of status, steals or wastes public resources. On this matter, I would like to let my actions speak for me. And I think I have spoken with some measure of clarity. And I have not come here to threaten anybody. I have come here to speak to fellow workers. You know what I have said is true. It must stop somehow. It must stop. We have to do what we have to do. I know for sure that KRA can do better. I know we have men and women in KRA, men and women of integrity. I know they exist. I know they're there. And I know for sure that if there is a culture change in this organization, Kenya can be the better country that we all want to live in. And I am very confident that the hard-working people of Kenya have the capacity to manage their affairs. And we need to answer the questions that they ask us about integrity and accountability in the affirmative. We wouldn't have a problem with people paying taxes if they are fair, if everybody is paying, and if there are no people who are more equal than others. As I told the country, everybody, irrespective of status, will pay tax. It's the only instrument that we have to transform our country. As we prepare to mark the 60th anniversary of the Madaraka Day next week, I wish to urge KRA to join the rest of government in ushering a new era of integrity in the management of public resources, to give taxpayers value for their contribution and support the bottom-up economic transformation agenda as we seek to transform our nation. Otherwise, I am truly happy to have come here this morning. I am looking forward to, as we digitize government services, as we digitalize the whole of government approach, that Kenyans should be able to transact with government. Kenyans should be able to transact with KRA from the comfort of their homes, from the comfort of their offices, and that we can make tax paying an experience that all Kenyans look forward to doing, because we can account for every coin that they pay by making sure that we provide all the services that are due to the people of Kenya. So otherwise, nawashukuru sana, asanteni sana kwa kunikaribisha katika headquarters ya KRA, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys. I'm really looking forward to working with you so that we can make a difference in our country. Unfortunately, we do not have another country. This is all we have. And it is our collective responsibility, each and every one of us, to do our bit so that the many Kenyans out there can be proud of what we are doing. There are a couple of other things that I will share with the management, even as we move KRA to the next step. So, asanteni sana. As I have said, I really look forward to working with you in making sure that we work with the people of Kenya to give us the resources to implement the agenda that we have for our nation, and to ensure that even those who do not have jobs like the rest of us, we are also having plans on how we can create opportunities for employment, we can create opportunities for business, and we can support each other. Asanteni sana. God bless you. I am willing to answer a few questions if there are any questions for me. Kama kuna mtu ako na maswali.